Eva influencer here. It was like, I felt like I was really in like the Devil Wears Prada or something. Group exercise.
I hate it.
At the time, it kind of felt like, I don't know where this is going and what the hell am I going to do for work? I've made it. It's happening. It's happening. It doesn't really bother me, but I can see other people noticing it. Oh my goodness. When you're in London and you go to Primark and you hear people speaking in Maltese and you get excited and you're like, oh, yeah.
You do, I don't. Bonġu Malta, jiena Johann u nilqakom għal episodju ieħor ta' Pop Gerlijs, l-opportunità tagħna biex nagħmlu daqsxejn ta' kiki, kif ngħidu, daqsxejn ta' konverzazzjoni man nisa mix-xena tal-ispettaklu f'Malta. But today we're going to switch completely to English. Sorry to anyone who wants to hate on that, but that's what we're going to do. Because today we have a very, very special guest. It's going to be officially our first episode of 2026. We've been out for a while. We needed a break. I've also needed a break because I was a bit sick. And in fact, I have a bit of a hot drink just to make sure that I don't have any random voice breakages during this, but we'll do our best. I want to obviously, as always, thank Barber Deluxe, hello Gail, for making me look presentable. And I'm gonna tell you, like, I was sick earlier this month and I looked like a homeless person, so now I feel like I finally look like myself, which is really good. And I also obviously want to thank all of you who have been supporting us. It's crazy to realize that we've started back in April and we're still going so far. And we do have quite a few exciting things coming up, not just regular episodes, but I can spill that we are actually gonna also be doing some international guests from overseas over online call, which will be something different. It's not going to be part of our regular series, but I'm going to basically be attempting to speak to some people, especially musicians from abroad, who I personally really admire. And we do have a couple of people confirmed, and I'm very, very excited for that, but more on that in the future. For today, we're going to be focusing on our guest. She is a very, very cool person, in my opinion. Very down to earth, very nice. So I'm just excited to get to chat to her today and get to know more about her, really and truly. So welcome, please, Emily Jones.
Thank you.
I don't know why I said it like that, but I just want...
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very good, very pleased to be here.
You've been in Malta for a while in this.
Yes, I have.
Now,
yeah,
right?
I've been here for a good few months now. Yeah, but I'm always back and forth. I can never stay away too long.
Do you have a proper basis at this point, or do you kind of just
Yeah, kind of. So I'm between here and then I spend a lot of time in Finland because my fiance is from Finland. So I'm with him a lot in Finland, and then I'm in the UK, and then also with my job I do a lot of traveling. So I tend to kind of be living out of a suitcase for a lot of time.
But you're half Maltese, half English, essentially.
So nofs Maltija, nofs Ingliża, half Maltese, half English.
She can speak Maltese, okay?
Mela ma nitkellimx bil-Malti, għax dejjem jgħiduli tal-Pepe, u imma le, minix tal-Pepe, imma nofs Ingliża, twelliq l-Ingilterra. Ommi Ingliża, konna nitkellmu bl-Ingliż id-dar u l-iskola. Ġifieri u inħossni daqxejli biex nesprima ruħi. So, inkun aħjar bl-Ingliż.
Yes. So that part we're going to have subtitles for just in case.
Now we're
anyone
really mixing
who's of Maltese is watching,
up.
but we're going to be sticking to English because we want to make sure that we're comfortable as well.
But I feel that some people either they don't know that I'm Maltese or that I'm half Maltese, or they think that I'm just like Pepeti or something, and I find it so annoying. But I've always had that kind of like my whole life, like growing up in Malta, that everybody always, I think, assumed that I was Pepeti or whatever. But I personally don't really identify with that because, well, my dad was Maltese, he wasn't Pepeti. You know, my mum was English, so... You
literally have the two... Extremes, I guess.
Yes.
Extremes, I don't know.
Two sides,
yeah,
for
exactly.
sure.
So even in terms of family, I guess you're kind of half of the families here, half of the families in the UK, or
pretty much. But we're quite a small family.
Yeah.
My grandparents passed away a long time ago, so it was kind of more my parents and my sister. But yeah, my sister lives in the UK.
But at this point, is like Malta the place that you're the most at if you're not in Finland, I guess?
Yeah, I would say so, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like, I don't know how to explain this, but
Yeah.
like for me, when I see how sort of you're able to constantly be going from Malta back to another place.
Yes, yeah.
Although I do love traveling, I don't know, is it really stressful to kind of be in different places, or are you that person who's quite adaptable depending on where you are? You kind of just settle.
Good question. A little bit of both. However, I would say that I had like a long phase where I couldn't really travel that much. And so like, for example, obviously COVID, none of us could. But then when my mum was very unwell, I know kind of like, I think we've been following each other from around that time. So you kind of know that my mum was very unwell and she was in Malta. So I felt very much like I couldn't be away from her. And although she had terminal cancer, her illness actually, whilst it was meant to be a short illness, she actually ended up living for quite a long time with the illness. So I just kind of felt like I didn't want to be away too far. I didn't feel that I could travel. It just wasn't on my priority list. And then there were a few things going on, blah, blah, blah. And then after she passed away, and then my dad passed away very quickly after her, I just kind of felt like, okay, now I was feeling very much like this concept of home was hard for me after having lost my parents. I know you've also experienced some loss recently. So I'm very sorry about that. I mean, I hope you're okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those weird things, at least for me, because I understand what you're saying. Like, he was diagnosed, and then you're kind of in this limbo where you're not really sure what's going to happen. At the same time, you're obviously happy that they're very much around, but at the same time, if they're also suffering, it's
very complicated.
Strange, yeah.
It is.
I don't know about you, but to be honest, we did go through a period where we felt instant relief, and then it's kind of, the grief is interesting because you're grieving. At least for me, I was more grieving who my dad was before everything happened, just because I feel like the illness just completely, not just physically, but he wasn't really himself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's something that I experienced with my mum. For anybody who doesn't know my story, my mum had a brain tumour and she was acting a little bit strange, and that's kind of how we sort of first noticed that something was up. And throughout the illness, I mean, she was very much like completely not herself at all. So I think from the moment she was diagnosed and the whole thing happened, that was where we sort of had to grieve her previous self, what she was like before. But then you also come to love this kind of new version as well. But it is so heavy and complicated. And it's also really interesting, I think, that like even throughout that journey, that there's also moments of joy and happiness.
Yeah, of course, because I think that then at one point you just need to accept that it's better to kind of enjoy those simple little moments than kind of focus on the doom or the dullness of what's going on or what's to come.
Yes, oh God, it's so heavy and so like grey and bleak feeling.
I don't know about you, but it's also strange when you lose a parent. I mean, we're not necessarily young, but we're also, not everyone our age or in our age group goes through that loss. So it's almost like I don't know, at least for me, it was weird at 30 to lose my father. I wasn't expecting it because my parents are older, so they had me after 10 years of trying to get pregnant after they got married. So both my parents are, so they were relatively older. Then, I mean, although nowadays, I guess it's pretty common to have kids at an older age.
Yes, I suppose so. I mean, my parents were a little bit older as well. I mean, I suppose my mum was only like in her mid-60s when she passed, so I feel that's very young. But yeah, it's absolutely like, I think losing a parent at any time is a massive life thing, isn't it? It's like something that everybody unfortunately is going to experience, and it sucks at any stage. And you see people who are like, I don't know, older, like say in their 50s or whatever, and they talk about like losing their parents, and you can see that it's such a huge thing. And I sort of feel bitter. And I think to myself, like, it's the wrong feeling, you know. I mean, it's not fair. Everybody's entitled to their grief, and everybody's entitled to that. But sometimes I think to myself, okay, but you've got an extra like 15 years with them that I didn't, you know what I mean? Which is such a, I guess it's a natural reaction, but do you know what I mean? It's so like complicated. And but then somebody will say to you, okay, well, you know, my mum died when I was 8 or when I was 10. Do you know what I mean? Like, life's not fucking fair, is it? Yeah. It's just crap, and these things are just not. It's just not fair, and it always seems to be that it's like the best people that these things happen to, like my angel mum who would like never, you know, would never hurt a fly and was just like the best person ever. But
I love that before we started recording, we're like, we're gonna keep it. This is a light podcast, and we're like, damn. Before we continue, though, I really wanted to ask you to kind of give a bit of a. I know it's weird and difficult to be like, so this is who I am. But to be honest, I realize that maybe a lot of, especially the Maltese people who kind of usually typically are watching us pretty regularly, maybe don't necessarily know who you are, but they might as well. So I kind of just wanted to give you like the space to kind of tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yes, sure. So I'm Emily, and I'm also known online as Miss Jones. My surname is Jones. That's actually my real name, but it made for a good kind of stage name as well, so to speak. But I'm a full-time content creator, and I guess I kind of started my page. I suppose Instagram really was where I started. So I would call myself also, you know, I prefer the term content creator, but, you know, Eva, influencer. But, you know, an influencer, whatever.
And you started a while ago, I feel like, no?
Yeah, I guess I first started in 2019. That's when I first started.
Yes. Yeah. I feel like you've been around for, I don't know.
Well, you might be familiar with me because before, basically, when I was growing up in Malta, and I mean, I went to school here, I went to junior college, and then I went to university in Malta. And then after uni, I went to the UK, basically. So then I lived...
So you weren't constantly back and forth? You actually had
not at that
full
point. No,
base.
Oh, yeah. No, like growing up here, exactly. I mean, all of my schooling, like this is home, and my parents have always lived. I mean, we moved here when I was 5. Okay. And then we lived here until, as I say, until I finished university. My parents were still living here. So then I moved to London and was like working in an office there. Basically, I had an office job in London. I kind of like moved for the big city experience. You know, I was like one of those typical grown up in Malta, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to get to London kind of vibes. And I also studied at uni. I did a Bachelor of Communications. So I was sort of really wanting to work in media, and I got a job working an internship at the Travel Channel, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is it. I'm going to live out my like 90s rom-com set in London, like media vibes.
Was it like a, I don't know, production sort of?
Yes, I was working in production, exactly. Okay. So they had really what I did was they had like a weekly studio show, and I was working on the production team for that. So I was like a runner, and I mean, I was doing all kinds of jobs, as you can imagine. And my boss was quite mean, and it was really like one of those, like I felt like I was really in like The Devil Wears Prada or something, because she was so like
that's literally what I thought of.
Literally, but that's when I was moving there, I was like thinking this is what it's going to be like, and that's exactly what it kind of felt like in a way, you know, because she was quite like harsh, and I felt so soft coming from Malta,
I guess.
Like, do you know what I mean? I felt like I knew about.
Jumped into the deep end.
Yes,
from the beginning.
Yes, and also I felt like, obviously I've got a British accent, right? Like maybe at that time I had.
And where are you from, actually? In
the UK, from London.
Oh, London.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, my mum is from North London, and I was born in North London and lived there for the first like few years of my life. And then when I actually moved back to the UK after uni here, I moved back to the same kind of area. So I've always been in that sort of like northwest London type of area. But then I did the usual thing, you know, like Easter and Christmas coming back to Malta type thing, maybe like a small summer holiday coming back to Malta, see my parents. And I did that for ages. So basically up until my mum was unwell, which was like way later in life. I was living in the UK and quite kind of somewhat settled there, I would say. But then when my mum fell ill, I started kind of like coming and spending some more time with her in Malta, basically. And as I say, initially the diagnosis was that she only had 6 months to live. So obviously I was like, right, I'm going to come and spend some time with her and take care of her. But then the illness ended up going on a little bit longer. So during that time where she was unwell, I was kind of like coming and going, and then ended up being more here than there, basically. And where was I going with this? Oh yeah, and that's really when my content creation journey started, actually, because I've been working in the city in London, and after I did my internship in media, I was trying to find a job, like a paid job in that kind of thing, but I kept finding unpaid internships. I'm like, you know, I had my bills to pay kind of thing. So I started working in recruitment. And I kind of like got a little bit caught up in it. So I was sort of working in recruitment for a good few years and working in the city. And it was very like, very intense. It was very like Wolf of Wall Street vibes, like proper like hardcore sales kind of environment. So I did that for a little bit and it was very fast paced. And then I fell ill and then I was unwell. And then I was like, for anybody who doesn't know, I suffer from inflammatory arthritis, which is very similar to rheumatoid arthritis. It's the same kind of illness. And I think I've always had it, but it kind of came out and I was diagnosed around that kind of time, like 2015, something like that. And I basically became too unwell to work and I lost my job. And I wasn't working.
So were you like, does it mean that you were constantly in pain or what?
Yeah, I mean, I was in a really bad way. Basically, what arthritis does is that it causes inflammation in your joints, widespread pain, problems with mobility, things like that. It was like all of my body just kind of like felt like it seized up and I was just in so much pain.
How old were you?
I guess at the time of diagnosis, I was like 24.
Wow.
Yeah, it was absolutely awful because I felt like I was like 100 years old. I mean, it was just awful because it was like, it's one thing being in one place, but like being in London, there's no time. Nobody has time for disability or chronic pain. You know, I feel like times have changed somewhat lately, but at that time it was very much just like,
I mean, if you were fully in central London and
yes,
sort of
I was like getting up, doing the commute, like getting on the tube 25 minutes into the office.
Like your life stops, but everyone else is obviously still at that same
that's a really good way to describe it, and that's exactly how it felt. And I remember things like, you know, I'd kind of need a minute to sort of like get on and off the tube and people or like to get moving at the traffic lights when you're standing there waiting to cross, and people, you know, just for that split second somebody would be going like tutting behind you. You know, it was so frustrating. And because it really is like an invisible illness, that was also extra frustrating. So to be honest, like I went through a real journey with it and I felt a lot more it's ridiculous because who wants to walk around with a walking stick? But I felt so much more comfortable when I had my walking aid with me because I felt that people could see that there was something was up, and not that I was just this like overweight, lazy, slow moving. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I'm actually in a lot of pain here and struggling. So it was very, I mean, honestly, it was very full on. I was very unwell and it was quite a relief when I was signed off work and kind of had some time off to hopefully basically it can be treated well with the right treatment, but I was finding that a lot of the medication is really, it's very, very harsh and it made me very unwell. So even the side effects of it, besides the fact that it wasn't working too well with the arthritis, it was also giving me these awful side effects. Like I had these blinding migraines and it would just go on and on and on. So I'd have to keep trying these different medications. It was just awful. It was just awful. I was so sick. So I was signed off for a while, which gave me a little bit of relief, kind of. And then I lost my job. Basically, they kind of decided they couldn't keep me on any longer and we came to an agreement and parted ways. But I found myself like in my mid-20s with this illness that at the time it kind of felt like I don't know where this is going and what the hell am I going to do for work? How am I ever going to support myself? Because to me, the idea of like suddenly going back into full-time employment felt like something that I would never be able to do again. So it was very stressful and very kind of like intense period. Now, having said that, and this is why I always feel like things happen for a reason, I sometimes think to myself now, because I wasn't working at the time, that gave me the freedom and the ability to spend time with my mum in those final months. And then, you know, it ended up being a lot longer. But I kind of often think to myself, like, obviously, if I'd been working full time or in an office job where I had to go in and remote working wasn't so much of a thing at that point, I just kind of think to myself, like, that was the reason. Because having those months with my mum, sorry, I'm sure if anybody's familiar with any of my previous episodes of anything I've ever done, I cry a lot when I talk about this, but it is very emotional.
Of course.
But I just felt like so lost, and I thought to myself, where the hell is this going? What am I doing with I felt like my life was in like a ball of string. And this is why I sometimes talk about this on my story now, you know, that like I feel, listen, we've all got problems. Like I've got a lot of things still that my life isn't perfect.
Yeah, of course.
But I feel like there was a point where I felt that my whole life was this ball of string, so tightly kind of wound up, full of problems. And I just thought, where am I going to start unpicking this knot from? I have no idea. And it just felt like there was no way out, and it felt very dark. But what I would like to tell people is that even in those times, first of all, there is joy to be had. There are light moments, but also that it doesn't matter whatever kind of situation you feel that you are in your life, there is always a way out. There is always some way of getting to the light at the end of the tunnel. It might take you a little while to get there, but just never forget that. Don't give up. Don't feel that, like, you know, no problem is too big to work your way out of. So just, you know, hang in there and try to kind of just take each day as it comes and work through each problem bit by bit. And really, for me, I almost feel like I'm still working things out from my situation. But from where I was, I feel like I've come such a long way. And I also feel this kind of synchronicity that things happened in a way that they should, because then when I was in Malta taking care of my mum and things were bleak, you know, it felt very bleak. And I also, again, was just thinking to myself, where is this going? Like, what's going to happen with my life now, with work and everything? That's when I decided to start posting on Instagram. So I was literally just like found that my head was so full of cancer and cancer treatments and radiotherapy and chemo and going to take her to this and this one and that. And, you know, the whole thing, it's so overwhelming and so bleak. I don't know how else to describe it. And so effing boring. Let's be honest. True. It's so boring that then I just kind of felt like I wanted something for myself. And I thought to myself, do you know what? I'm going to start posting on Instagram. Like at the time I was following a lot of plus size models and like curve models, and I found them very inspiring. For anybody who doesn't know my story, I've actually had a gastric bypass. So you might be seeing me now and thinking that I look relatively small and slim, but I kind of started on the scene as a plus size content creator. And I was very inspired by this kind of body positivity movement. It gave me a lot of confidence. And I felt that I embodied that kind of mentality in my day-to-day. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna like start posting about this. Let's just see. And I kind of just thought to myself, it would be something that I could do slowly in the background whilst, like, you know, sitting with mum whilst she was having her treatments and things like that. And that maybe it would be something to build, and that maybe in a few years' time I could make a career of it. So why not get started like now, basically? And that's exactly what I did. And this is why they tell people, you know, just do it, just post, don't like overthink, don't get too much into it, just post. That's literally what I did. And I'm telling you, I was in like my childhood bedroom and my parents' flat in Sweetie. Like, it wasn't as if, you know, I wasn't like in a very aesthetic background or anything like that. And I just kind of like started playing around with it, took some like nice mirror pics. Yeah,
because it wasn't even a time like now where you're focusing on reels and you're producing essentially, I don't know, it's almost like you're going back to vlogging, which was a thing, and now it's become a thing on social media. It's like when you're mentioning that you started out, was probably just like
I was literally just taking
photos.
Yes, I was taking like
long captions, probably.
Long captions, a lot about like positivity in dark times, because also at the time I was sharing a lot about this situation that I was going through with my mum and you know, caring for her, which I feel like a lot of people kind of resonated with at the time. I tried to be, I kind of think that when I started, I was just like had a couple of things in mind. I was just like, I'm just gonna really be myself, and I really never want to like edit or Facetune or do anything like that with my pics. So I'm just going to bang them up there and let's see what happens. And it took like I uploaded like 2 or 3 posts. They did really well. And then boom, I don't know what happened, but it just picked up. And I'll never forget, I was like at home with my mum and dad, and we were doing the usual like routine, and my dad had come back at lunchtime from work, and I remember going into the kitchen and saying, I've made it. It's happening. It's happening. I remember saying to him, because it was crazy.
Was there like a particular post that just kind of blew up?
There was. And I remember exactly what it was. I don't know. It was like I was wearing like a one-piece strapless swimsuit. It was really like a blurry like pic in the mirror. But I thought it looked kind of sexy and good, and I thought like I looked curvy, and I was like,
for the time it was a good enough quality photo.
Exactly.
If you look at it now, you're like, that post probably
you
could have it wasn't about you, it was, but at the time
I thought we are like, it's part of the what
and
I'm
you literally
doing.
Just saw it in real time, kind of.
I saw it in real time, just suddenly blowing up. And suddenly I was like, oh my God, I am going to be a social media star. That's what it really felt like. I was like, that's it. Like I've done the thing.
Because I was curious if it was something gradual or
listen, now when I think back on it was like, but you have to imagine that before that, I mean, okay, like I had Facebook when I was like living in Malta and stuff like that. And I used Facebook a little bit, but then I had like a phase where I really didn't upload anything to social media. So I wasn't like somebody who was on my personal social media posting. No, I literally was just like, I'm going to start this and see if I can make a business out of it eventually, like as a blogger or whatever. And it just took off. It just took off. And then when I saw the traction, then I was like, right, I'm all in. And then I started like really working at it, like 2 posts a day, every single day at the same times for like months on end, and replying to every single comment, every single DM. I mean, but it was going crazy, like it was blowing up. I mean, I guess I must have hit like 10,000 followers maybe within like, I don't know, a couple of weeks or a month or something like that. It was very, very quick. And then from 10K...
And was it pretty like global, I
Yes,
guess?
it was.
Yeah.
It was. And then from 10K, it was like, all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I'm at 50K. Like it was just boom, boom, boom.
From
boom,
that particular post, that kind of triggered.
But then I
obviously
I just kept posting all the time. I mean, I really took it very, very seriously. Again, like obviously it was extra exciting to me, like especially kind of because I felt like I hadn't had something like that for a long time.
Exactly.
And I just suddenly thought to myself, oh my goodness, I'm doing this. It's happening. And I just remember, I never forget like that feeling of like going into I remember standing there and my dad being like, not understanding anything about it and being like, okay, what does it mean if you're getting likes and followers? And I'm like, don't you understand, man?
So then was there a point where, was there a particular point where it started turning into a business, or where, I don't know, what did that look like? What was it looking like? Brands were approaching you, or were you how? Because even at the time, I'm trying to think of like because now it's pretty typical for brands to collaborate with creators, and whether it's from one side or the other, but I don't know, for the time I don't really think it was something that was that
not really, no popular. I feel it wasn't. And also I was being extremely, like, you have to imagine, like, I hadn't been working for a few years. I've been like at home taking care of my mom, and it was like,
this was 2019, right?
Yeah. And I was just kind of like, I wasn't trying to be brand friendly or thinking really about any strategy other than I just wanted the page to grow, right? I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't like thinking, okay, I should do this to appeal to this or whatever. I wasn't. I was just trying to kind of get things going. And this is actually something that I am quite, I feel like people misunderstand it quite a lot, because I've spoken about it before, that it's actually quite difficult to get paid brand deals with brands that you like, that you align with. You know, it's not something that just happens like that, that people expect. So I thought that that's what would happen, and I was kind of like seeing all of this growth. And I mean, I think I must have probably around the point that I had about, let's say 60 or 70K, where I was thinking to myself, I mean, to me, I thought to myself that was a massive following, and I'm like, and I'm not getting any I'm not getting any money from it, because, you know, you don't get paid from views on Insta and things like that. I think people maybe don't understand that that's not how it works, kind of thing.
You have eyes, but they're not necessarily getting you anything other than the eyes, I guess.
Exactly right. And I just kind of, as I say, I wasn't working. And then it kind of got to the point where I was basically like, I don't know where this is going, but like, how I know that I'm sitting on something where I could make some money. And I really was in a situation where I needed money. You know, I needed to kind of support my family, support myself. As I say, I hadn't been working. So I kind of just felt to myself like, oh, I don't know what to do. And you also get approached by a lot of scammy things. Oh my goodness. Like, especially when they sense that you're fresh to the internet, like, which they obviously could. I was very naive, and I feel like there were loads of things that I was approached about that now I think, why did I even give this person the time of day? It's obviously just a complete waste of time, or some pervy guy just, you know, trying to chat kind of thing. So that was like a whole thing. And then that's when I started my OnlyFans. So it was at that point that somebody basically contacted me, and her message like piqued my interest, because she kind of said something to me like, wow, you know, your page is getting so much engagement, which it was going mad.
And this would have been, I guess, close to before the pandemic, which
yes, it was just before the pandemic. Exactly.
It became a huge platform.
Precisely. I started like before that, and then it kind of blew up around that time. But she kind of said something to me in her message like, you know, your page is doing really well. I hope it's proving lucrative to you. To which I was like, hi, yeah, thanks, but no, it's not. And she was kind of like, she basically said to me, because at the time I was posting a lot of like bikini and lingerie content, but like it wasn't, I never intended it to be for the male gaze. I never intended that. I wanted to be for the pop girlies. That was what I always had in mind. But I feel like when you have a particular kind of body type as well, you know, you can't filter who follows you. Yeah. Like it wasn't something that I could, you know, manually remove some followers. It was like thousands coming all the time. And then also like, I don't know, it's just I had like a couple of instances where, for example, somebody sent me a picture where they'd like been using my picture for some, I don't know, some nasty posts on Twitter or something. And I was just like, oh my goodness, people are like, you know, making something off this or profiting off my likeness, and I'm not getting anything out of this. Like, what? So what's the point? You know, like people are all like, I should be like somehow making something of this. So she kind of said to me, you know, OnlyFans doesn't have to be for anything too explicit. Like if you like, you can post behind the scenes, you can post things like lingerie photos or bikini photos that you feel are just a little too much for Instagram. You could put them there. So I was like, yeah, okay, let's give it a go.
Now the other platforms are all very strict when it comes to that content anyway, so might as well just have somewhere else where
yeah. So I kind of thought to myself, okay, well, let's give it a go. I mean, like, kind of, I was quite clear with my boundaries on what I was going to do and what I wasn't going to do. So I gave it a go. It really picked up, and I was like, all of a sudden, from like not having any income to suddenly I was like, oh my goodness, you know, I could see that it could be really popular. I was like making money, and I thought to myself, oh my God, this is sick.
Do you feel there's still a big taboo on it? And again, I'm not saying necessarily Malta, because I know that in Malta it's still quite a taboo, unfortunately. But bit. I don't know, maybe in the UK probably not, but I don't know how.
I feel that times are changing a little bit. Yes, there is this kind of like idea a little bit. I feel that there is a little bit of a stigma around it, but I also feel that people are kind of maybe starting to appreciate and understand that like people are multifaceted, you know, and I've always actually felt very much that like people want to kind of put me in a box, right? You know, they want to be like, oh, even just down to what we were talking about earlier, that like, okay, but are you Peppetti or are you British? You know, like they want to put you in one of the boxes, and it's like, well, what if I'm both? Or, you know, yes, I am Maltese, but I'm also British. I'm as British as I am Maltese. You see what I mean? There's like kind of this thing where people are always trying to kind of like label you as something. And I never really felt that I fit into any of those boxes. I was always felt that I was.
Which is why I was like, I want to give you the time to explain what you do, because even when people ask me, so what do you do? So let me literally list all of the different things I'm interested in, and that I mean,
it's a lot.
You know, like it's actually funny. Some people think that this is like my full time. I'm like, do you really think that I'm gonna make money from this and make this my full? I mean, I would love to make this my full time, and
of course.
I've always like kind of what you mentioned earlier in terms of what you studied. I've always been into media. I've always loved it. Marketing was something that I stepped into very randomly, but I found myself there. But then I was like, I want to do my own thing rather than work for other people.
Yes.
So it's always obviously a learning experience of kind of finding what you enjoy. But
absolutely, it is.
That's why I wanted to kind of give you that spotlight to kind of talk about all of the different things that you do. But so now essentially, how do you feel in terms of like where you want to go with the platforms? Are you kind of just seeing how things go? Because even in terms of content, I feel like now you've really found your, not that you didn't before, but I feel like obviously you found your way in terms of traveling and food and kind of that experience, and just kind of the really natural, because I'll be honest, like in terms of what I usually look at on socials, for a lot of people, I think quite a few people, it can seem unnatural for them to kind of like talk about, so I went to this place and I'm doing this.
I know,
and it becomes a bit like repetitive, and also but I feel like you have quite a nice natural nature about you.
Oh, that's really nice.
No,
Thank
it's true.
you. Well, I really enjoy it. I think kind of something that I am really trying to focus on at the moment is, or that I feel is that I get a lot of comments from people like maybe who, to be honest, if I'm being completely honest, I feel like a lot of people underestimate me or have underestimated me. And honestly, I do feel sometimes a little bit hurt when I look back on photos of my previous self, like when I was bigger, because I feel like at the moment, I feel like a lot of people kind of speak to me in a way that they feel like, okay, now you've really, you're really something. And I kind of think, I don't know, I just feel, yes, I feel like kind of people didn't take me as seriously then. And I feel...
I was nervous you were going to say, now that I'm not, they don't find me as interesting anymore, because I can't
Listen, I'm sure that there are plenty of people like that. But I think the thing is, right, that I've been online, as I say, since that time, since 2019. So I was like 28, 29 when I started. I'm 36 now. So, I'm going to change. I'm going to evolve. I've also been through a hell of a lot in my time online, including like, dealing with the whole situation with my mum, but then my mum passing and then my dad passing right after her. So, these are like life situations that really change you and really, people evolve, don't they? So I just think I just try to show up as myself and really try to kind of like give my opinion on things. And I feel like I kind of want people to know that there's more to me than just being an Instagram model or whatever, which is how I feel like these days it's a little bit different. Especially what I notice is that a lot of people locally speak to me about my TikTok, because my TikTok, I make a lot of content about Malta and things to do in Malta and like Maltese things. And I feel like I kind of get that reaction a lot from people locally who sort of say to me, no, I mean TikTok. And I love it. It's nice. I feel like I've also had people say to me before, like I'll admit that I was one of those people who maybe had preconceived notions about you or judgments about you, but now that I follow you a little bit more, or I see a little bit more of your personality, so I think kind of that I just want to use my voice a bit more and speak about things that are important to me and share. And honestly, I feel like I've been through a lot in life, and I think kind of that I've learned a lot through those experiences, and I really want to like help people who might be in the dark place at the moment to kind of understand that there's still nice things and life to be enjoyed, if that makes sense. But what were you asking me? You said to me, you said, do I feel like, where is it going?
Because obviously, you know, even platforms are constantly changing. You're kind of always trying to find maybe something new. I don't know, maybe the way that you were randomly introduced to OF, I don't know, maybe something else comes along. I don't know if there's anything kind of that's piquing your interest that is maybe different but still in media. I don't know.
I mean, to be honest, like I also like enjoy consuming media. Like I love, for example, I love scrolling on TikTok. It really kind of keeps me entertained. I mean, I've got to be, you know, careful not to end up bed rotting and scrolling for hours, but I really enjoy content and I think it's fun. And I've actually, even before I started posting anything, I always used to take like a lot of photos of things, and I was always really interested in like lifestyle and beauty and wellness and things like that. I was always really interested in it. So that's kind of like an area that I'm very interested in going into. But I'm also really interested in creating content about Malta and like showing a different side to the islands and the culture that I feel like people get so wrapped up in the viral things that they see on TikTok. And I think to myself, I don't know, half of the places that they're talking about, like Maltese people would never go there, or that they just never really experience proper Maltese life and the proper Maltese culture. So I feel like I'd like to show that a little bit more, and some fun, cute aspects of Malta that, like, I don't know, like for example, I made a video about the Borsata San Martin. Because I love that tradition. It's so cute. And I feel like nobody really knows about it outside of Malta. You know what I mean? But it could be anything. It could be going gold shopping in Valletta. Like, it's a very specific thing. But you know that there's certain places you go, like if you want to buy something. And it's just like little experiences like that, really. And just sharing a little bit more about the day-to-day life. I feel like it's also quite interesting, I think, for people to see behind the scenes of what happens as an influencer, like how things work and, you know, so like vlogging and things like that I really enjoy, and I want to get a little bit more into that, I think. And I have been doing a little bit more, but it's kind of like you end up like your whole life is just on camera all the time.
Għandek bżonn Spotify playlist ġdida? Għadna kemm ħloqna il-Pop Gerlijs playlist li ma tinkludix l-episodji li qed noħorġuhom li dawk tistgħu wkoll tisimgħuhom Spotify, però tinkorpora fiha diski li għandhom x'jaqsmu ma' kull episodju. Hemmhekk tistgħu ovvjament issibu diski tal-artisti u kantanti li ġew bħala mistiedna sissa fosthom Sara Bonnici, Maxine Patch, Claudia Faniello u oħrajn, imma hemm ukoll diski ta' artisti kemm Maltin u barranin li b'xi mod nirreferu għalihom u niddiskutuhom waqt l-episodji. Barra minn hekk, jekk tidħlu tisimgħuha issa, jaf ukoll ikun hemm daqsxejn ta' ħiel ta' min ser ikun qed jiġi fl-episodji futuri ta' Pop Gerlijs. Allura kull m'għandek tagħmel huwa tidħol Spotify u tfittex Pop Gerlijs jew inkella se nagħmlulkom QR code hawnhekk biex issibuha aktar ma. I mean, speaking of cute Maltese things, I was literally trying to find the segue.
Oh yeah!
Because Emily recently told me that she really liked my mugs, and she already has.
Yes.
But I wanted to thank you to obviously Parascandalo, who we collaborate all the time with. I wanted to give you another one to add to the collection.
This is so exciting! Can I open it now?
Yes, of course.
Okay, lovely.
Obviously, it's Maltese food themed as well. So
which is amazing. I love that. People seem really keen to hear more about Maltese food on TikTok. It's great. And I have to say, it was a genuine, you know that I reached out to you when I saw that you were selling them, because I was like, oh my goodness, I've got to order some. They were so lovely.
So now you have another one to add to the...
My pastizzi mug. This is so lovely. Thank you so much. I absolutely love it. Are you
a person who has like lots and lots and lots of mugs, or no?
I've been known to have a mug or two.
Just a full.
No, I'm a hot drink fan, so I'm like...
But hopefully you have space for one, that's what I'm saying.
I'll make it, but I can clear some out. Yeah. This is so gorgeous. I love it. Thank you so much. I love what you're doing with this, I have to say. I mean, really, they're so cute and original, and I feel like they just make a perfect gift. There's also like a lot of Maltophiles who don't live in Malta.
No,
you know?
exactly.
We have a lot
I
of
mean,
like Australians, Brits, Americans.
Yeah, I mean, like I told you after you posted that video, it's mostly been people from, unfortunately, from the US. Sometimes it's a bit of a struggle because of everything going
Shipping,
on now.
yeah, I bet.
With
tariffs.
our lovely,
The
he who shall not be named, orange person. But in general, like it's been mostly expats who are just living in other countries, and it's always nice to have
a little piece of home. Exactly. It's so lovely. Thank you so much. I love that.
To just give you a little bit of
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you a bit, because obviously you went through a huge change.
Yes.
I mean, I met obviously physically, but I can only imagine. I don't. What was that like for you? I just kind of want you to maybe take us back a bit to. Obviously, feel free to go, as deep or not as you want to about it. But I mean, it's something quite life-changing, obviously, in many ways.
It is, yes. And I think, it was quite a kind of. Johann's talking about my gastric bypass for anybody who doesn't know. So actually it was exactly 2 years ago, just over, that I had a gastric bypass surgery, and I've lost like just over 75 kilos with it. So it's been absolutely crazy, life-changing. It's a difficult one. It's really strange because I feel very much like I'm literally exactly the same. So I find it quite hard when, for example, I'm really like...
They're like, how has it changed you? Because in reality...
I don't think it has changed me at all, personality-wise. Absolutely not. And I think anybody who knows me or who knew me would see that, no, I think I'm kind of pretty much exactly the same person. Very much so. I feel that like I've got to be honest, I feel really good. I feel like very good, like energy wise. I feel like pretty good in my joints and things. And really one of the main reasons why I decided to have the gastric bypass is that I have lipedema, which at the moment is kind of having a little bit of a trending moment. But I found out about it several years ago and was looking into treating that. And all of the advice that I came across basically said that if you're at a certain kind of weight, that the first step would be to lose an excess of it and see what happened. Lipedema is a condition which causes a build-up of painful and diseased fat cells, and it actually affects 10 to 11% of women.
Oh, wow.
So it's quite prolific, and I think if you knew what it looked like, you would probably notice, especially in Malta, that there are a lot of ladies who suffer from this. So, for example...
Never heard of it, honestly. That's why I asked.
Okay, well, you probably start noticing it around a lot now because people are talking about it a lot. There's a lot more awareness about it, and I'm really trying to use my platform to raise awareness about this as well, because it's a condition that basically causes your... really mostly affects your lower body, but it can also affect arms and breast tissue and things like that. Now, I'm absolutely convinced that I had it in my arms and my lower body, like from my stomach down, and it causes like kind of it's painful. It causes like painful fat. The fat is... the tissue is very painful to touch. So it's like somebody who always has random bruises on their legs. Their legs always feel cold. If you touch them in a certain way, it's almost like it sends shivers down your spine. It's so painful in a way that shouldn't be painful, the same kind of pressure touch. And it's really doesn't really respond to diet and exercise typically. So what you'll find in lots of ladies who have lipedema is that they'll be like, I can't understand it. Like I've lost, 10 kilos or whatever. Like I'm so small up here, but I can't, my legs just do not move. They don't budge in, what's the word I'm looking for? Not in sync with the rest of your body. So it's like, your lower half will look a lot bigger than your top half and so on. And also it just kind of, there is a characteristic shape to the legs. And really for me, I was like a poster child for, like when I saw the photos of what lipedema looks like, I was like, I've never seen a photo of my legs before online. Like it was crazy, like the exact same shape. And I've always kind of had bigger legs and always like I mean, I really remember, like, even when I was really young, my mum, I mean, this was different times, right? Maybe the way we speak to young people is different, but she didn't mean any harm by it. But she used to say to me, you know, like, maybe you should wear a bit of a longer skirt because your knees are a little bit funny or whatever. I always knew I had kind of like a little bit bigger legs than everyone else, you know, and kind of like in this shape. And it really kind of developed as I sort of gained weight and got older. It got worse and worse. And I just really felt that it was very much affecting my mobility and I was very uncomfortable. And when I looked into it, really the first advice that I had was that for at your kind of weight, you'll need to get your BMI down first and then see what's left over. Now, the surgery has allowed me to get my weight to a point that I could never manage on my own. Like, I've lost like 20 kilos here and there, but like, you know, when you're very morbidly obese, it's kind of doesn't really make much of a dent. And it didn't really have that much of an effect on my lipedema either, because my legs very much remained the same. But what I've noticed is that getting down to a weight that like I would never have managed on my own without the tool of the surgery is that a lot of the lipedema has kind of been like starved away. But I wouldn't have been able to do that without the surgery. This is what like kind of I feel like people don't understand. It's not just a matter of just not eating. It's like once you reach a certain stage of obesity, your hormones, your gut health, it's all very a different landscape to somebody who just like needs to lose a little bit of weight for aesthetic reasons. And I just, you know, statistically you're very much up against it, and I just kind of felt like I clearly need some help. I wasn't feeling so great, and that's why I decided to do it basically. But it's been very challenging for my identity, I suppose, but not for my identity in real life, but more online, I think.
Okay.
I think so. But I find that like I'm very, very careful about like posting. I don't even like to call them befores and afters.
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say, yeah.
I've posted some content like that, but I never want anybody to feel that like me being in a bigger body is something that I was like, that I'm like trying to shun.
Yeah.
Or that I'm like, I hated myself at that point, because it's just not my narrative. I understand that there are people who find that they have that experience, but it wasn't my experience. As you know from following me, like I've had ups and downs with my weight, but I've always kind of like, even when I was really at my biggest, I was like doing everything that I wanted to do. You know, I was like getting out there, I'm swimming, I'm filming. I wasn't letting it hold me back. I was traveling the world, like doing all kinds of things. And I never want anybody to kind of think to themselves that I only live like this now, that my life is so much better now after having lost weight. It's not. It doesn't feel like that. Life feels different for me. I feel like lighter, and kind of for my frame, I feel that it's been better. Obviously, I also have rheumatoid arthritis, so any extra pressure on my joints and things like that isn't something that when I was younger, I didn't have any problems with being when I was overweight. I felt very good and felt very energetic, but then I started to not feel like that, if you see what I mean. But everybody's experience is different.
Yeah.
Some people can be like overweight and they can like dance and they can do whatever.
I think there's this obsession with it having to be a weight loss journey, when in reality, at least I see it as, or at least I find it even more interesting and impactful and inspiring when it's just finding yourself and your strength and your power. You know, like even I've recently tried my best to start, you know, personal training and stuff, not because I wanted to lose weight, because I'm actually quite happy and proud of who I am and my body. It was more to find that strength and obviously to try to minimize risks to illnesses, etc. You know,
to feel good.
I mean, like what happened with my dad, you know, it kind of, I was like, you know, I need to at least make sure that I try to live as well as I could, not obviously, you know, cutting off things that I love or having to starve myself of things that I really enjoy, but it's just, finding, as you're saying, feeling like you're lighter, but at the same time, you're also stronger, obviously.
Yes, and feeling good. And I think people should think about it like you shouldn't look at like what you can remove, but think about what you can add to your life. And I think like kind of it's even this thing, like I'm really passionate about trying to encourage people to like live for today and to understand that like even if you are somebody who's unhappy at your weight or whatever, that doesn't mean that you don't have to be like I feel like I want to start exercising, but I should lose some weight first. Why? Start exercising now. You're going to feel better for it. Like, just, do you know what I mean?
We don't realize how many people, at least I hear it so much, especially from women around me who are like, I need to go on a diet now. I need to start because summer is coming. It's aren't you just going to be going back to how you were before and then again, it's literally not easy at all. I mean, I had never stepped into a gym before last September.
Right.
But I did it, not again, because I maybe, that's what I would encourage, is kind of, you need to have the right mindset as well.
Yeah,
like I went into it with the mindset of wanting to feel better, not just physically, but even mentally, to be honest.
And also, it doesn't always have to be seen in this light. Like I also feel maybe things starting to move on a little bit, but there's always this like kind of idea that it's like punishment, right? You're only exercising because you ate something naughty or you overdid something. No, just exercise all the time. This is really interesting because my fiance's from Finland, and I've been spending a lot of time in Finland, and I noticed very much there where they have a very kind of healthy Nordic lifestyle. I mean, obviously now you speak to Finns, they'll be like, okay, we smoke, drink, and there's lots of overweight people as well, but you know what I mean, like on the whole they're very active in their day-to-day. So it's not something that, like, when I remember growing up in Malta, that it was always like, I never wanted to do my PE classes because I was always like a little bit like kind of bigger than the other kids in class. I was always very unfit, never did any exercise. And it was always like this big thing. I didn't want to do PE. And we also never did any activity as a family, like.
Now you just made me realize why I don't like to exercise with other people and I just prefer personal training on my own.
Yes, I mean,
no one else.
Group exercise.
I hate it. Thank you. I feel seen.
But this has been like my whole life has always been like, I'm going to try some group exercise, hating it and not
I just don't like classes and
I think it's a pretty common experience actually, but it's a shame because that's not what you like. So why would you do that? So you find something that you like. It doesn't have to be a punishment. It's actually just try to add in something that you like and do it at all time, regardless of like whether you're on a diet or not. Do you see what I mean? It's more about like, I feel it's the same thing with like, so silly, but things like taking care of your hair, your nails, your skin, things like that. I don't know why we always think that that's only reserved for when you reach your goal weight. Like, no, do it now. Go have your toes done.
Or that it's like a luxury that you don't need to aim for.
Yes, exactly. And listen, I know these things they take time, they take money, it's upkeep. Yes, but if it's something that you enjoy and you want to invest in, you don't have to wait until you've like lost weight or you're at your goal weight. No, go and do it now. You're going to feel so much better about yourself. And the thing is that then the better you feel about yourself, the more you take care of yourself, the better you feel. This is why I'm so like into this self-love thing, because I feel like everything good comes from that. If we were all so much more confident and felt happy in our own skin, we would be so much nicer to each other and life would be so much better and the world would be could you imagine?
I feel like you've kind of hit the nail on the head. We've solved the world
I saw a TikTok the other day and the guy said if everybody woke up and had like, I don't know what he said, something like if everybody woke up, had a cup of tea, some Greek yogurt and some berries, and then like got outside in the sunshine and took a 10-minute walk, the world would be a better place.
Honestly.
And it's such small things, but sometimes we don't realize that kind of that there's small things that you can do to make yourself feel good. It doesn't matter. It's not about weight, and it doesn't have to be like, I just hate this idea that it's always like about self-hate and like punishment and like Buster, you said you liked yourself before. Sometimes I think to myself, like, have you never been in a relationship, for example, where you understand that the relationship isn't working out for you anymore and you need a change, but you don't like necessarily hate that person, but you know that your life situation has to change? And that's kind of how I feel about my relationship with my old body or whatever you want to call it. Like, I feel like, can't you understand that just because I wanted to change from that doesn't mean that I hated that version of me? No, I didn't. I'm talking about this like before and after content, that, as I say, I'm very careful with it because I want to make sure that the message, in fact, I always make sure that in the before clips, I'm doing something where I can show people that I was happy, that I was living to the full. Do you see what I mean? Because I had this post recently that's gone.
It's not like, blurry clips or
because
then all of a sudden, wow.
Yes. Like because I hate that. The before clip is always like no makeup, hair in a top bun, like, and you're going like this. And it's like, I've got plenty of clips like that. I've got plenty of clips like that of myself now doing the same thing. But obviously, if you're going to put a before like that and then after, you got your hair done, you've got some makeup on, you're looking like glam.
But I guess it's good that you also had quite a presence and an impact when you were at that stage in your life already.
Yeah, I hope so.
Or do you still feel like, because obviously with social media, people discover you all the time.
Yes.
So obviously there are people who don't even know that you...
Exactly. It's very interesting because I often feel like...
Especially with like how you were mentioning with TikTok, obviously, that someone is introduced to you now.
Exactly.
They wouldn't have known everything
that's right. It's very interesting because sometimes I think to myself like, hello, where are your comprehension skills? Because I'll like, for example, write something like a caption like, having my gastric bypass wasn't the easy decision or something like that, and I will get like 1,000 messages from people being like, can you please tell me how you lost weight? And I'm like, just read the caption that's on the video that you've come from. It's very clear, or just go to my page. It's very easy, but I feel like almost like I have to give a disclaimer on everything, and I'm just not going to do it. Sorry, like you've got to kind of look into it a little bit. You know what I mean?
You'd be like, let me just pin something so that maybe they will get it.
Yes, and also at the same time, like I mean, like, for example, on my Instagram, I don't want to put that in my bio because I think I'm like so much more to me than that. So why would I just, have that kind of big overrider? No, like that's not what it's about. And if you want to figure it out, like you can find it very easily. So I don't know. It's being online is very complicated. I feel
it's true.
There's so many aspects to it, but I never want my audience who followed me, like kind of, for that side of things to ever feel that I'm like, I haven't changed my ideas about things. You see what I mean? Like, just because I've decided that I needed a personal change doesn't mean that I now hate fat people or think that fat people are disgusting. Like, no, not at all. I feel exactly the same person. I think that beauty can come in all shapes and sizes, and also like everybody's experience is different. Somebody might feel great and amazing in one way and not good in the other. So you have to really, Johann, you have to do what's right for you, because like I was nervous about my gastric bypass. I mean, I was always very much like, I'm going to be very upfront about this and like say what I'm doing, because I don't want anybody to not notice. But it's very interesting that I feel like people are only kind of really realizing now, because obviously, like kind of there are, like, as I was losing weight throughout, I was talking about it throughout the whole thing, but people don't really realize until suddenly there's one post where you're maybe looking extra slim and they're like, whoa, what happened here?
But plus, like, the algorithm just works in such a strange way that
it really does.
You will disappear for some people, and then all of a sudden you're back.
Exactly. So, and they're like, where have you been? And it's like, I've been nowhere, I've been here the whole time, but sometimes it doesn't show. And I know, because I see it often with people, that I know. I think to myself, I haven't seen them post for a long time, but they've been posting all the time.
But obviously you'd be in it and you're thinking about what you're posting.
Yes.
And you're like, let me keep this narrative going.
Yes.
But then you forget that maybe someone hasn't seen
and they're
something
like,
from
what's
you in
happened?
months.
And I'm like, what do you mean what's happened? It's been going on slowly for like the last 2 years. I don't know, what did you expect? But I understand. I feel like at the moment, I'm getting a lot of like, I mean, I'm absolutely covered in loose skin. This is like kind of my new sort of thing that I'm dealing. Yes, it's a reality, exactly. And I really feel that there's like not a lot of representation.
It's true. It's not really spoken about.
I feel it's not. Obviously, you see what we notice what we see, or whatever the expression is. Kind of like your life algorithm, kind of like I'm starting to see more of it. But I see a lot about loose skin after having children, which obviously I understand is a very important phase in a woman's life and something that a lot of people deal with. But I don't see so much about the loose skin after drastic weight loss. So I'm very keen to kind of like, to be honest, I just feel it's like, okay, when I was bigger, you could say, okay, like I was big, but I was out there living my life. And I kind of feel at the moment, like I almost feel like more insecure about my loose skin than I did about being bigger, right? Or rather, I don't know how to explain it. It doesn't really bother me, but I can see other people noticing it, right? So it's kind of almost like I feel that new insecurities have come about. But the truth is that this is the point, is that you're never going to get to a stage where you're like, actually, I'm perfect. Everything is perfect about me. And, you know, there's always going to be something maybe that you feel a little insecure about, or that you think could be better or whatever. But the point is that you don't wait until you kind of get all of those things sorted. And when this is done, then I can be happy. When this is done, I'll do this. No, just start. Same way as I started my Instagram page, I could have said, no, I'm going to wait until I'm in my own apartment and I've got a better background or more aesthetic. No, I just started. So just live, live, just get on with it. People will deal, that's it.
Because I know that we could probably keep on going and going.
Really,
but I really wanted to ask you about, because we do obviously share a love for traveling.
Yes.
And it's obviously something that I've grown to be very passionate about since after the pandemic, because that's when I started to solo travel.
Cool, very
and
cool.
I am also very curious to know how you ended up with your Finnish fiancé.
Oh my goodness.
If you can obviously share the story.
Well, he's a very private person, and as you know, I have only really just opened up about my relationship recently because we got engaged.
So you're like, no, we have to.
Well, it feels really strange because it's something that I just kind of was always like, I'm just sort of not talking about that side of my life.
But I was asking you because I was like, was it something that came from you doing a lot of traveling?
No,
and
we met online, actually.
Oh, wow.
We met online, so it was literally like nothing to do with that. But that's how we met, basically. And yeah, maybe you will leave it at that.
Yeah. No, but I actually have always wanted to go. So I'm also curious about.
I think you'd probably quite like it, actually. It's a very kind of like, it's a very interesting culture, a very kind of like specific culture, quite an unusual place. Very literally, like, it couldn't be more different to Malta. Like, literally, it's so crazy to me how it's so polar night and day. Like, they are very much like, if they even feel that a question will slightly push a boundary or be even considered slightly nosy, they just won't ask it. They just won't ask anything. So it's like, very different to us.
Was it a struggle to adapt there, or?
Yeah. I feel that kind of it is quite difficult, actually. Obviously, linguistically, like the language is extremely difficult, but everybody kind of speaks English. You can sort of get by. But culturally, it's very, very different. It's just things like, you get in the lift and it's like, it's more normal to just say nothing and not even like move your face kind of thing. Whereas I would be like, hey, how's it going? All right. No, like that's almost like my fiance would say to me, like, don't do that. That's weird kind of thing. Like, why are you being so friendly? People are suspicious of you. You're being too friendly. And also just like, they're very like conscious of giving each other personal space. Beautiful nature, fresh, crisp, clean air, and lovely, free-flowing fresh water that you can drink from the tap. Things like that.
Yes, please. That's what.
Yeah.
but yeah, I can imagine.
It's a very kind of like refreshing, I feel. Yeah. But it is quite a cultural difference. Yeah, I think like kind of we are still figuring out where we are going to end up, let's put it that way. But back to what we were talking about, like way at the start of the conversation, is that I kind of really took the opportunity with the travel because I suddenly felt like, first of all, I didn't have this tie to be with my mum and not wanting to go too far. And then the other aspect is that I just kind of felt very untethered and that I didn't have this aspect of home. Where is my home now that both of my parents have passed away? And I just kind of felt like, okay, I'm going to roll with that and start traveling a little bit more and seeing the world and getting out there and doing a little bit more. And also, I really wanted to bring my own spin to travel content, and I feel like there's a real lack of like representation of diversity in all forms in travel content. It's very much the same type of content that you see, and I felt like as a kind of woman in my 30s, like no children, I wanted to like go and experience these like luxury places, and I felt very much that when I was looking through the media for them, that I didn't fit in there. And when you're there, you kind of see all different types of people, and you think to yourself, why is this never reflected in the representation? They're always like trying to keep this very specific kind of image, of like couples or like white, slim couples, like walking hand in hand on the beach. And it's like, okay, well, fat people can have fun too. Do you know what I mean? Or like different body shapes or different body types. Like it's always so airbrushed and like perfect. It's kind of depressing. So I just sort of felt like I wanted to see that a little bit more. So I started making that kind of content for myself.
Is there a particular place that's really like, I don't know, struck you or?
This time last year, I was in Thailand and it was so sick. I absolutely love it there. I definitely will go back and do some more exploring, but absolutely wonderful. Of course, who doesn't like Thailand? Everybody who goes.
I've never been, so I don't know.
You would love it. You would love it. It's so easygoing. Actually, it's very interesting because I feel that there's a lot, like some parts of Malta, I feel remind me of some parts of Thailand. For example, I was in Bajibba the other day and I'm like, this is giving me very much like Pattaya vibes. Like it's very similar kind of something about
I won't agree or disagree,
It's really interesting. I'd be interested to know if anybody who's been, obviously not the tropical vibe, I'm not talking about that, but like the kind of town vibe. Okay. Sometimes it feels a little bit like, or somewhere like Bajibba that's a little bit like crazy, chaotic, there's a lot going on. It kind of feels like that. Nightlife, and like also maybe that there's quite a few kind of British pubs and things like that kind of thing. It's a similar kind of vibe, like and also not that Bajibba's cheap and cheerful anymore, but that kind of feeling of like, we just want to get out and have some sunshine and friendly.
I've never traveled outside of Europe, so I'm gonna like maybe mark that as a maybe.
Thailand is absolutely great. Another place that I really felt an affinity with was the Seychelles. I absolutely loved it there. Now, my parents went to the Seychelles on their honeymoon in 1984, and I feel like at that time that was very exotic. There wasn't much tourism in the Seychelles at that time, and it was just something that I'd always heard them talking about. Remember when we were in when we were in the Seychelles, they always used to mention it. And I went back on the year of what would have been their 40th wedding anniversary. And it felt very special. And I kind of was thinking to myself, wow, I can't imagine how they kind of like, my dad being like from Fleur-de-Lis in Malta and suddenly he's like on a beach in the Seychelles. It's really interesting, so I feel like they had that sense of adventure themselves, and they always spoke so fondly about those adventures, so I really kind of wanted to experience them for myself.
So it's always been beach places that kind of attract you the most?
So I quite like city breaks as well, but maybe more beachy places.
Because for me, it's typically becoming more. I'm kind of over the city breaks, even though there's honestly so many places you can discover anyway. I just like colder weather, honestly. I mean, listen, we live here all year, and I'm just like, maybe not now, but I need the cold, I need the freshness.
You're a winter person, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I feel this is very interesting because I feel like very much like when I was living in Malta, like when I grew up here, I was exactly the same. I was like craving cozy, and that's what I mean about like when I went to London, I was like excited to be in the cold weather. You want like, it's like such a Maltese thing that we're like, I want the fresh air, I want the hot chocolate and the cozy coats and get wrapped up. And I totally understand because that's exactly how I felt at the time. But now I feel like maybe I'm kind of over that.
Exactly. Especially if you're in Finland and you're like,
exactly. That's far too.
Because Finland is you would get the 6 months of darkness or
it's the winters are bleak.
Wow.
It's absolutely it's beautiful.
I would kind of love to experience it just to experience it.
I totally understand.
Living it all the time, I think is interesting.
It's hard. I think that the lack of daylight is hard. Like when I lived in London, I didn't find it so hard because it's kind of like, okay, there would be grey days, sure, but it was a little bit more manageable. But in Finland, I find it quite a bit harder. Having said that, the summer in the Nordics is just something special. Absolutely beautiful, totally different vibe. Everybody's like swimming in the lakes and cycling and going to pick up a croissant and going for a baguette. You know, it's very like, it's just lovely. It's very picturesque.
Yeah.
It's just lovely. And they really celebrate it. You know, it's not like for us here where we're like, Jay is safe. Like, is this bloody summer ever going to end? Exactly. You know, you just feel so ready for your autumn winter wardrobe or whatever. No, it's because it's so fleeting there. They're like, every day is a celebration. There's almost like a hype around it, you know, like well, what are you doing today? You know, everybody, and in fact, people crazy. They have like a month off. They'll just be like, yeah, I'm off all July, basically. I suppose maybe that's not so strange in Malta because people have holidays like that here, but you know what I mean? Like,
I've definitely never experienced it because the only time I was in Scandinavia was in Sweden in August, and it was cold.
Yeah.
And
that's
rainy.
What I mean. That's what I mean.
Which I didn't mind, obviously, coming from Malta in August. But I was
that so strange. See, I can't even like time. I think that we always revert back to like our school time frame. So, like for example, for me, even though I haven't been at school for a long time, September, October rolls around, back to school vibes, right? You feel it. You kind of like feel that pattern, even if you haven't been at school. And it's really interesting because in Finland, the kids go back to school at like the beginning of August. So for me, August is like the main month of summer.
Whereas for them it would be much
it's done. Yeah. August, it's over. Like it's back to school.
Crazy.
It is crazy, and it really like changes because I notice when I'm there, I'm like thinking to myself, this is weird. This is like October vibes, but it's actually August.
And any like places you've never been to that you want to?
I feel like I've got loads of places that I still want to go to. Lately, I've been thinking I really want to go to Australia, which is something that was never on my radar before. But I'm super keen to go and see this. Like, I can't imagine going to a place where there is a massive community of Maltese people who...
true.
You know, like, when you see, like, Italians
which has been coming up
US,
on my TikTok a lot as well. Of like Maltese, even younger Maltese people who obviously are
Australian
creators themselves, and they're
Maltese.
I literally just saw one this week where she was like, so me and my family moved to Australia a year ago, and we're here, and she said it felt like there are more Maltese people here than back home.
Exactly.
Which is very strange.
Which is very strange because we don't... I think people, obviously, I imagine most people watching are Maltese so they understand. But like, you know, it's like when you're in London and you go to Primark and you hear people speaking in Maltese and you get excited and you're like, oh,
you do, I don't. I'm like,
you want to escape?
That happens to me all the time. Like I will be in, I don't know, like in Poland or something. Yes. I hear someone in Maltese. Oh my God, you just took me back. It literally happened to me in Poland. And I'm in a restaurant and I hear this older Maltese couple. Hey, yeah, George, come have them fit toilet. And I'm like, oh God, do not make eye contact.
Right. But if you were with, like, let's say, for example, you were with an Italian friend or whatever, and you said to them, like, oh my God, they're Maltese. They wouldn't understand because for them, it's like, okay, Italians are
exactly.
everywhere all over the world, right? But we don't see that, like, because there's very few Maltese communities. But in Australia, we are like one of the main demographics, and I just can't imagine what that would be like.
So you would want to kind of...
I want to go and experience it. I want to see what it's like. I want to see how people live there. It's really interesting to me.
And it's just such a huge place.
And it's a huge
place.
There's
so many areas that you
exactly. And I mean, it also looks absolutely gorgeous. Like I want to go, work out on the beach and have an avocado toast kind of
even
vibe.
Just the fact that obviously they live a completely different reality when it comes to the seasons.
Exactly. So. It's very interesting. Like it would be cool to experience like, a hot Christmas, for example. How weird would that be? So definitely want to go. Yeah. So I want to go to Australia. Oh my God. Honestly, like I want to go everywhere.
You've
like
been
there's
to
so
Japan?
much more. No.
Because that is like my number one wish list.
I'm so desperate to go to Japan. But the problem with Japan is that I'm not going to be able to stop myself from the shopping, like trinkets and little bits of crap. And
I mean, you have to be like, let me just do like a little bit in Tokyo and then everything else not in Tokyo, I guess.
I'd like to go to Bali, although I know that it's like a little bit... People are saying it's a bit overrun at the moment, but I'd still like to experience it. But all of those seem like they'd fit quite nicely in one trip, right? Like Singapore, Australia, Japan, Bali. They're all in the same
one?
vicinity. We'll see.
That would be like, you'd be like off for a year.
Yeah, exactly. But, luckily I can take my work with me. So, it's always, and that's the other thing I think that people don't realize, that it's not like I'm like sitting around in these places doing nothing. It's like constantly you're creating content. Like if I'm not filming a TikTok, I'm filming a vlog, I'm filming a review.
You're having meetings with people and stuff.
Exactly.
So
exactly. There's always
building relationships as
it
well.
It is. That's for sure.
Ongoing.
But there's a lot of other places that I would like to go, and I feel like I'm really kind of like at the moment like itching to travel. So.
And if I ever decide to go to Finland, I guess I'm going to ask you for all of
of course, you have to let me know, and I'll give you all of the recommendations.
Like itinerary from Emily?
Yeah, exactly.
And
but
then
I reckon you'd probably, I think you'd love it though.
I had one experience where I got to meet a lot of people from all different countries. It was literally in Sweden when we had a conference thing. And it was strange because it was me and there was another Maltese person, but we weren't like hanging out together all the time because we told ourselves, we want to experience everyone else's cultures and stuff. Yeah. And it was weird because she was gelling really well as expected with like the more Central European or, the Spanish. And I'm just there with like the Estonians, the Latvians, and they, like what you were mentioning is kind of that similar vibe.
Estonia is also culturally very close to Finland.
I just enjoy how straightforward they can be, honestly.
They are.
Which to me is refreshing,
it is refreshing. It's very, very different. As I say, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but then at the same time, I kind of appreciate it too. So it's quite interesting to see. And definitely makes for an interesting dynamic in my relationship, for sure.
Opposites attract.
As you can imagine. Well, it's very interesting in that way. Exactly. I mean, I feel like we are very, very similar in a lot of ways, but like you would never know that from, meeting.
I don't know. I guess you just have to be similar enough, but then it's good to not be too similar.
Yeah, I think
obviously
so.
Opposites still attract.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they say.
I really want to thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. It's been so fun.
We had a roller coaster.
I know.
Of topics, but I knew that was going to happen. Obviously, I wish you the best of luck with everything you're doing, and also, since you mentioned it, a lot of traveling as well, hopefully.
Thank you. Yes, I hope so.
And if I ever go to Finland, I will definitely ask you for some tips.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was super fun, and thanks for my mug. I absolutely love it. You guys should absolutely go and order some of these mugs. They're so cute. I absolutely love them. Your illustrations, also supporting a local business, like keep going with it because it's absolutely gorgeous. And
thank you.
Got something
I did not ask her to say that.
No, you didn't. But as I say, I always try to show up as myself. I genuinely like the product, so that's why I made the video, and that's why I'm saying what I'm saying, because it's just the truth.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate it. Obviously, thank you to all of you for watching. I just want to quickly thank Insynk Spaces, who host us over here, and also just mentioned Parascandalo earlier. Thank you obviously to him as well for all of his support. And because I don't always say it, thank you to Nina for being here, because we didn't really hear her today. Obviously the person who's always behind the scenes making all of this happen. And I will hopefully see you in another episode in the future. Until then, bye-bye.